But now I think it's coming up again about how Peanut, a question of butting in regards to the burnt peanut. So, actually, I'm going to move things around because I'm going to be blocking more Kaza. So I'm going to put you guys up there, and I will shift over here. So that way I'm not blocking Kaza for this react. So I am, and thank you all for the follows that you're all of you raiders that came in and are following me. Thank you so very much. Let's take a look. I'm very curious if there's new data that I am unaware of. So let's take a look.
Things have turned full circle in terms of the VTuber award thing, which obviously we covered back in December, 3 months ago, whenever this all kicked off. Now, if you don't remember, essentially there's this whole situation going on with the Streamer Awards, where essentially, the Burnt Peanut ended up winning Best VTuber ahead of a lot of other great VTubers in the space, including people like Iron Mouse, Mori Calliope, and so many more as well, Chibidoki, who all have, you know, obviously deserved the kind of right to be there. And of course, this caused a lot of controversy.
Right about that, but also it caused him winning the VTuber awards also caused an additional level of controversy that I'm thinking some people were not anticipating, because you had big VTubers, even VTubers that were nominated for Best VTuber that did not win, and Peanut beat out for the Best VTuber title, that were saying congratulations. And they were saying, yes, he's a VTuber. They accepted him as a VTuber. And those VTubers that said that got jumped on. All but like a lot of VTubers that like the big VTubers that were just like welcoming Peanut into the space, saying, yeah, he's a VTuber. He's got an avatar. Absolutely, he deserves to win. He's considered a VTuber. And they got jumped on. They got dogpiled of, how dare you actually call him a VTuber? It's like, so there was controversy about Peanut shouldn't have won the award because he's not a VTuber. And then the VTubers that lost out actually were like congratulating him. And those VTubers were getting on, people were jumping on those VTubers and saying, no, he doesn't count as a VTuber. We need to gatekeep. Like, it was like a shit show for a couple of weeks. The VTubing space was kind of a shit show with like the divisions and the hostilities. Yeah, like Kitsu, oh yeah, absolutely. Kitsu got harassed to hell and back, absolutely. A lot, like the VTubing space in general was kind of a shit show for about a week or two after this happened because of these strong divisions. It was kind of insane, honestly.
Within the VTuber space, because the Burnt Peanut obviously doesn't interact with any other VTubers really. He is a a Snapchat model essentially of a peanut, and obviously there was a big debate over whether he was a VTuber or counted as a VTuber or not.
That is true. He was an asshole about it, but at the same time, his entire fucking brand is being an ass. His entire brand is being an asshole. That is his brand. I have little doubt. I'm gonna say this. I don't have much doubt that Peanut, let us go on the assumption that his personality when he streams is his streamer personality, and he doesn't have the same personality off stream. I will go on the assumption that his personality on stream is just a stream personality and not his off-stream personality. Without a doubt, at minimum, his stream personality, I have no doubt that he based his personality on Trump. That's one thing, and I think that's one facet that pisses people off. They might not realize it, but his personality on stream is similar, albeit much more verbose. But he's basing his personality on Trump, I think. And I suspect that, well, it's like I said, it's in terms of the attitude and how again, not precisely. I like don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying like he's doing an impression. I'm not saying he's doing an impression of it. Don't misunderstand me. I get the feeling that the verbal, like the way he talks, like the attitude he presents, the way he talks, I feel like it's kind of inspired by Trump's attitude. But again, Peanut does take it like a step further. He's much louder. He's much more verbose. He's much more, he swears a great deal more. It's like kind of Trumpian almost. Again, he's not doing an impersonation of it, but it's like the attitude behind, the attitude that he presents. I always kind of got that impression. It's like that's kind of like the attitude that he's sort of presenting. And I'm wondering if subtly other people see that, and that's why people may have a problem with him because he's presenting this attitude, this assholery, because yeah, on stream he does act like an asshole. And I'm wondering if that's why some people key into him and enjoy his content. And it may also be why some people dislike him. Now again, this is a theory. I'm not stating this to be factual, like, oh yes, this is actually absolutely what it is. It's just it's a theory based off impressions that I've had from seeing clips of him and the way he talks and the way he behaves and everything. That's just kind of like a theory that, yeah, it's basically, yeah, it's just a theory, an Ember theory. That's it. It's just a theory.
Obviously, it was just disappointing either way because it is pretty clear that he doesn't interact with anybody in the VTubing space or particularly likes VTubers at all. He's been very vocal about his dislike towards VTubers and even kind of continued that after.
And that's what pissed off a lot of people. What Kazuha just said right there. What pissed off people is that he hates VTubers and he does not consider himself a VTuber. And that is what pissed off people the most. Is you have a guy that won the VTuber, the award for best VTuber, who openly hates VTubers and does not consider himself to be a VTuber, but he galvanized his fans to vote for him specifically to fuck with VTubers. That was the lightning rod that pissed off so many people in the VTubing community, is that they consider that he stole an award from VTubers when he himself does not consider himself a VTuber, hates VTubers, and did this specifically to stick at VTubers to make them angry. That's why so many people in the VTubing community hated him. So yeah. That's what a lot of people had the issue with him is. And Invictus, thank you for the dono. Thank you so much for the dono, Invictus. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so very much.
Winning the award, which of course angered more and more VTuber fans in general. But it seems like things have gone full circle because if you don't know, recently it seems like the burnt peanut has been catching a lot of heat. Now, again, the reason for this, I don't really know, to be honest, right? Again, it seems like people have just kind of slowly turned their opinion around on him, and now it seems like a lot of people are disliking everything that has essentially been going on, especially due to videos like this, like how the burnt peanut took over streaming and everything like that. Obviously, I think VTubers most have to be some of the most envious, jealous little trolls on the internet. Every single negative comment comes from a VTuber or a VTuber simp, which I can understand, right? Obviously, I think there's a lot of people...
No, I mean, considering he targeted the VTubers and actually took action specifically to stick it to VTubers, yeah, he's going to be catching shit from VTubers and VTuber fans and communities of VTubers. Yeah, when you deliberately take action as a means to stick it to the VTubers at large because you openly hate VTubers and you want to effectively speaking steal an award from them, you actively galvanize your community to steal an award for VTubers because you hate them, yes, you're gonna mostly get VTubers and VTuber communities that are gonna come at him. Yeah, that's very simple logic, honestly. Yeah, people did get mad at that. Yeah, absolutely. VTubers got mad about it. VTuber communities got mad at it. Yeah, they did. And again, it was because of his attitude. It's because he's openly hating VTubers. He does not consider himself a VTuber. And he said to his community, you know what'll be funny? If we fuck over every single VTuber and win the VTuber award from the Streamer Awards. Now, bearing in mind, I personally, and I said this when he won, when he won the VTuber award, I personally said, I don't give a shit. The Streamer Awards in and of themselves is a fucking joke. Honestly, I wish more VTubers took this, that were upset about Peanut winning, took this thought process to heart. The Streamer Awards were a fucking joke. I could care less that he won. It doesn't matter because I know in general the Streamer Awards was literally nothing more than the LA streamers jerking themselves off saying, aren't we so wonderful, let's give each other awards. They didn't now. It was it was all insider baseball, and they were just giving awards to their friends. For God's sake, the person that they had come out to present the award for VTubers right there showed you how little the LA streamers give a fuck about VTubers and only put VTubers in the Streamer Awards because it was expected of them. For those of you that don't remember, the person that they had presenting the award for VTubers was some fucking lazy bitch that walked out and was just like, I'm presenting the VTuber Awards. Oh, whoa. They have the kawaii energy to really get their communities going, or something like that. The bitch that they had presenting the awards did not want to be there presenting a VTuber award, and she did not hide it in any way that she did not want to be there and did not want to be a part of either the awards or giving an award to a VTuber. So the writing was on the wall from moment one that the Streamer Awards didn't care. They were there to jerk themselves off and tell each other how wonderful they are, just like the Oscars and just like the Emmys. And they don't fucking care about VTubers. They probably don't even think VTubers are streamers, as evidenced by the person that they had presenting the award that was acting so fucking bored. She was practically screaming, I don't fucking care about you people. I don't think you should even be here in the first place. If more people had taken that mindset, there wouldn't have been so many problems when it comes to Peanut winning the award. If more people had taken on the mindset of, it's the Streamer Awards, we all know it's bullshit, none of it matters, who gives a flying fuck if Bert Peanut won out of the VTubers? None of it fucking mattered, and it's all bullshit.
Very mad at the burnt peanut, but at the end of the day, I do think the amount that he antagonized the community and stuff, I think it's understandable to see why some people would be angry at him and would be happy to see his downfall, right? And I think that is actually kind of, understandable. I can understand why a lot of VTuber fans are very happy to see that people are kind of turning on him and being like, actually, you know what, this is a bit weird, I don't like this guy, or whatever, right? And it has become
Me personally, I'm just enjoying the Schadenfreude when it comes to him because of his attitude. No, people turning on him, talking about him botting and everything. I'm just enjoying the Schadenfreude. I just love because he has this attitude like he's this big Billy badass and he hates VTubers and does consider himself a VTuber. I'm just enjoying this. I'm just enjoying people turning on him and putting, and sticking it to him. I'm just sitting back here going, do more. I need a good laugh.
More and more, apparent over the last couple of days or so, especially with a lot of TikToks and different videos and whatever and quote retweets coming out about the burnt peanut. Obviously, there's been this big trend, especially over on TikTok, of adult men essentially pretending to be like almost children, and like yeah, saying that they're gonna go watch the Burnt Peanut. Like it's kind of odd, but of course, you know, as the VTubing community, it doesn't really, you know, people don't really judge. But again, I think that there was a lot of TikToks of like girlfriends and wives and whatever filming.
A lot of people think he used bots to get in streamer awards. I'm I'm not convinced that he did, because to submit your nominations for the streamer awards, you did have to put in an email address. You did need to fill in information in order to submit your streamer, and amongst that was an email address. You would have had, like, he would have had to have created, if he botted to get in, he would have had to have created hundreds, maybe even thousands of individual email addresses in order to submit his nomination for the awards. So I'm not convinced that he used, I'm not convinced that he used bots to do it. Now, did he get like people other streamers that he's friends with, and did he get their communities to jump in with his community to nominate him? Sure. That's absolutely possible. Like, I know he's friends with Shroud and a couple other somewhat big streamers. They have big communities. Shroud was the one that convinced him to try and like win the award for best VTuber. So it would not surprise me if Peanut got the people that follow him, Shroud got the people that follows him to also vote for Peanut. Maybe other streamers that Peanut is, you know, collab with, get their communities to vote for him. That is more likely. It is far more likely that that's how it occurred versus him botting votes for the awards. I genuinely don't think that he botted the votes in terms of the streamer awards.
The husband or boyfriend or whatever, essentially, yeah, acting like a child, excited, ready to get ready for a Burnt Peanut stream, which of course I think added to the kind of cringeness and whatever towards, I guess that is where a lot of the hatred and stuff is coming from as well. I guess that is one of the things at least I've seen personally. But they say, behind the edgy joke, a safe corporate talking points, literal definition of an industry plan. Obviously, that's what they're giving them. They say, I don't really get the...
Now, that I believe. That I believe. Being a legit industry plan, that I believe. Marathon being the perfect example. Every other streamer that played Marathon said this game sucks. The UI is terrible. The UI is terrible. The graphics are terrible. The gameplay sucks. Pretty much every streamer said that Marathon sucked. Burnt Peanut, on the other hand, goes, I think this game's fucking great. I think, like, he's like screaming on his stream about, you guys would tell me to play this game. He's trying to compare it to like Arc Raiders. And he would say, this game isn't great. This game is great. I enjoyed this game. Yeah. Industry plan. He joked about it before, but I have no doubt that he is, I don't know about an industry plan. I do think that he's being paid. That would not surprise me if he's being paid by Bungie to shill Marathon. Absolutely. Absolutely, I think he was paid to play and shill for Marathon. 100% I believe that. Oh, absolutely. Which is nothing, he would not be the first to do that. God knows there are plenty of streamers who take on sponsorships to play the game and to laud how wonderful the game is. This would not be unique to Peanut if he was paid to show the game. Plenty of streamers had done that in the past. It's nothing special, but yeah, I absolutely believe that he was paid by Bungie to show the game. 100%.
Peel, I tried to watch a stream but didn't really enjoy it personally. The two random blue-haired furry weirdos is not heat. But again, I do think it is quite a lot of heat because there's been a couple of comments, including this one from Bastard Wasp, saying, how did this guy even win a VTuber award? Obviously got 500,000 views and 22,000 likes. I would consider that a pretty big amount to eat, right? Again, 22,000 likes. Obviously, as Ahara saying, loud is funny, he appeals to retards, which, again, I do think is 100% true, right?
Not wrong. Not
wrong. By being more popular than any other VTuber, saying he's not more popular than Pakura though, which obviously is pretty true, right? And it is funny to see some people not really understanding you know, how big some VTubers are in the space. And obviously that was one of the big things that a lot of people disliked about the, you know, previous Burnt Peanut situation with the VTuber award and all of that kind of stuff, because his fans were obviously going after other VTuber fans too, and it just turns out that they didn't really know much about VTubers in general anyways. People saying, I generally believe he's an industry plan and didn't exist before that award. Said he did exist, he was just super niche Tarkov streamer who got picked up by the industry. So his audience plus a bunch of other salty RR streamers grouped up to vote him in. Said probably the same reason how Frogan won Rising Star at the Stream Awards twice.
Okay. No, I disagree on the Frogan part. I think Frogan won Rising Star because Hassan told Cutie Cinderella give Frogan the Rising Star award twice. That's like, I don't think for a minute that votes count in the Streamer Awards anywhere close to what people pretend like it is. It's votes in the Streamer Awards are probably just a suggestion. It's Cutie Cinderella and her inner circle that decide who's going to be the winner, and maybe even who's going to be nominated. And yes, I have zero doubt whatsoever Hassan told Cutie Cinderella, give the win to Frogan. She's my mod. She's she's just starting streaming. Give her the Rising Star because that'll get her popular. Oh, and how'd that work out, by the way? 2-time Rising Star. She has less viewership than I do. When she's not botting, by the way. Because lately she's been lately there are signs that Frogan has been botting. So when she's not botting, Frogan has less of an audience than I do. Just a stupid little redheaded VTuber girl. So yeah. But it's I do think yeah, his industry plan didn't exist before that award. He was a super niche Tarkov. He got picked up by industry. I don't think he got picked up by the industry per se. I think he got picked up by other streamers like Shroud, who got him into the main, who carved, sort of nudged him into the mainstream streamer space, and then he got picked up by the industry. I think that is more likely what happened, is that he basically rode, it's more likely that he rode on the coattails of other streamers into the mainstream. Once he got into the mainstream, because he was loud and he was boisterous and he was a fucking peanut that played certain kinds of games, that the industry went, okay, we can use him because he's loud and he can generate interest. And then at that point, that's when maybe the industry started approaching him for, you know, sponsorships or whatever, and the rest is history.
Twice. I think she got nominated twice. I think she won one. But again, obviously that is pretty interesting. She says he appeals to the main audience on the modern Twitch platform, the kids who grew up on Rick and Morty. He says, doesn't think personally, doesn't heavily involve himself in politics, doesn't try to be the best, doesn't try to be super...
Doesn't... Okay, one of the most popular clips of Peanut right now is him literally screaming USA about something political. He literally goes off goes nuts and starts screaming USA when I can't remember if it was an ice question or something. But like he literally just starts like screaming USA at the chatter that asking the question. So I don't know about that part.
Serious, just plays games and makes the best of it, having fun. No crypto promo, no gambling promo. He's the most down-to-earth person since Queso. Okay. There's been a lot of replies saying, doesn't fake his personality is what someone with no eyes or ears would say after watching that clip, lol.
The Streamer Awards, the show where everything's made up and the points don't matter.
True story. Absolutely true story. No lies detected there.
Which obviously, yeah, is true. And obviously, this is one of the clips that has been kind of going popular as well in response to it.
You're just mad because I'm frame mugging you right now, pal.
You are frame mugging me. My cortisol is spiking.
Yeah, don't spike your cortisol, buddy. I'm just frame mugging you.
Yeah, just chill out on me right now. I'm a diabetic.
Get frame mugged.
Yeah, so you talk about getting frame.
Okay. Chat. Bear in mind, I'm a recluse. I don't get out much. What the fuck does frame mugging mean? What does that even mean? Bearing in mind, I don't get out much. I don't pay attention to modern lingo. So I have no fucking clue what that even means. Does anybody know what frame mugging even means? If anybody could inform me of this, it would be appreciative, because I'm just frame mugging you. What the fuck does that even mean? It's like the whole fucking maxing thing too. It's like, what the actual fuck is all this? It's okay. Well, at least I'm not alone. Yeah. I should ask. Hang on. Let me ask Rock. Let me ask Rock. I don't typically ask Rock questions, but for something like this, what is frame modding? Okay. Frame modding means. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Come on, Grok. Frame modding is a slang term from looks maxing culture, referring to when a person with a larger, broader, or more physically imposing frame makes someone next to them look smaller, less athletic, less attractive by comparison. It is a form of visual, overshadowed, often highlighted superior shoulder width or height in photos. Yeah, so someone in the superior frame stands next to you or is photographed next to you, instantly making you look narrower, frail, or quote-unquote subhuman. Okay. So I do not know what the fuck that meant. So, okay.
Which is pretty funny. And of course, yeah, this is the other post as well, which was on here, essentially saying his viewers have to be botted. I've never heard of a single person who watches him. And obviously, yeah, this is the post, this is the video saying how the Burnt Peanut took over streaming, saying this guy's 100% an industry plant, says these gotta be bots. A lot of people obviously claiming that he was botting and whatever, which again, he does have a very, very high viewership, like abnormally high. So it wouldn't be out of there to say.
Well, it wasn't so much, like, it's not so much that it's abnormally high. What was abnormal about it was the spike that took him there. For him to have the viewership that he has in and of itself is not unusual. When you work hard and you gain an audience over time, yeah, you absolutely could get to the audience cap level that he has. Kind of like how Asmongold, Hassan, Mousy, how all of these big streamers can get really high audience counts like that. The suspicious part was the sudden spike. He was literally gaining like what was it, like 192%. He was like literally gaining something like 20,000 average views per month. Like, that is a spike that is significantly unnatural and super suspicious. Now, again, I've said this before and I will continue to say it. I am not in any way accusing Peanut of viewbot. Am I suspicious, and is there a possibility of it? Yes. Is there also a possibility that maybe his friends are viewbotting him to boost his numbers? Yes. Is there a possibility that a third party is viewbotting Peanut without his knowledge or consent? Yes. Any and all of these are possible. What I do not know, which is why I'm not making a bald-faced accusation, I'm merely saying the chart is suspicious. It is suspicious enough to be asking questions. When you are gaining viewership of 20,000 views per month, that is suspicious as fuck. And it should not be unheard of to ask questions of how the fuck is this guy coming out of nowhere, going from a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 or two, to suddenly gaining 20,000 views, like, each month over a couple of months. I think it's perfectly reasonable to be asking questions like, how the fuck did this happen? Going on the assumption that it's not bots, how did he gain so much traction that fast when you have, like, legacy streamers like Ninja, who they did not go from 0 to that in the same amount of time like Peanut did. And they were coming out of a time when streaming was new and you didn't have a lot of streamers. And it took them years to achieve the level of viewership that Peanut achieved over the course of maybe a year. So I don't think it's unreasonable to be suspicious of this and to ask questions.
That he is botting, but again, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it that much. I can't really, make those claims, right? But yeah,
Maybe,
said,
Dan, I don't fucking know.
Replies because I'm evil and rich. Follow for more. I said, neither have I. I've also never met anyone from Utah. By that logic, Utah must not be real, right? I said, yeah, Utah's made up, lol. Said, you're being disingenuous. I completely understand people that were pissed off by him winning VTuber of the Year because he's not a damn VTuber, just someone taking the piss out of VTubing and just not being funny. He said, Yeppers, I was one of the people pissed off that he won, lol. I feel like he only won because people think so negatively on actual VTubers.
That's actually a possibility too. That's a possibility I hadn't considered. That when they announced who the nominees for VTuber, the VTuber award are, how many people voted for Peanut because they hate VTubers and they did not want an actual VTuber to win. That's an excellent point. I hadn't considered that.
Which, yeah, I do think is true, right? A lot of people, were voting for him because they dislike the VTubers that were in there. Obviously, as I said, people like Iron Mouse were in there. People like, who else was in there?
Yep.
Like Mori Calliope, Chibidoki, and so many more, right? And again, it seems like there was this kind of agenda at the Stream Awards where the people that did what, like everybody outside of the VTubing space, obviously just voted for the burnt Peanut because they're like, oh, I don't really like VTubers, so I'm going to vote for this guy because it seems like he's causing up a little bit of a, stir up in the VTubing kind of category. So I want to kind of contribute to that. And that's exactly how that kind of went down, right? And also he does have a pretty large viewership as well. But again, I do think it was pretty interesting. And of course, we did talk about the fact that, some streamers, for example, in the Marvel Rivals category, like Dokibird, wasn't nominated for Marvel Rivals Streamer, right? The only place that I'm pretty sure a VTuber got nominated outside of the VTuber category was like Iron Mouse with her Iron Mouse and Sea Dog Best Collab or Best...
Oh, yeah. The Streamer Awards made it very clear that they don't consider VTubers as a part of the LA streaming space. This year, they made it very clear. Like last year, there were not many VTubers at all nominated for the categories outside of the VTuber section. This year, they made it very clear they don't consider VTubers legit streamers. None of the LA streamers think that VTubers are anywhere in the same league as them. They think that we are shit, basically. The funny part is, I would wager more people like VTubers than facecam streamers. Like I think more people like VTubers than the LA streamers right now. I think that VTubers are actually becoming more popular than the LA streamers. That's my suspicion. Because generally speaking, when it comes to like the top female streamers, there's a VTuber already there. Like Emerald is usually at the top of the female streamers. Mousy is usually like second or third. And I think that LA streamers like Cutie Cinderella, like Valkyrie, all of those vapid, LA streamers that think their shit don't stink. I think they're scared that more people are checking out VTubers than them. Yeah, the fact that Neuro shattered the hype train record 3 times in a row. They must have been so butthurt about that. And so it would not surprise me if they tried to take it out on VTubers by excluding them from the majority of the streamer awards, with the exception of the VTuber slot, because they probably felt like they had to put that in there, or they'd alienate a huge part of the fan base that actually love VTubers. And they probably just threw Mousy and Sea Dog into the duo section just as a gimme. It's not like they won anyway. They weren't gonna let them win anyway, but they just threw them in there as a gimme. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably very likely.
Duo, category. That was it. And obviously, I did find it a little bit weird that there were some people in the Marvel Rivals category that didn't play Marvel Rivals as as a main game, essentially. They did it for sponsors. Some of them had done it for just sponsors, and they got nominated as best Marvel rival streamer. When you have Bird, who's literally been the biggest shill for the game over the past couple of months, which I thought was also pretty crazy, right? But again, obviously that.
Yeah, the cutie Cinderella and all of her, LA circle jerk, they 100% just like slap, tried to do a slap the VTubers. Absolutely. They 100% were telling VTubers, we don't consider you a part of our streaming space. Here's the funny part. We don't care. We're still here. We're becoming more popular than you. Because guess what? VTuber is the best pussy because it never gets old. Yours will get old, crusty, wrinkly, and look like roast beef. We will be forever supple, smooth, and squeeze oh so tightly.
It's just kind of my theory behind the Stream Awards and, agenda against VTubers. Essentially everybody but Iron Mouse, which I think is crazy. Not that it's Iron Mouse's fault, by the way. I do think that obviously she's been doing great as well. But I think that, maybe the Stream Awards could have, included more VTubers within these categories, because I feel like people like Bird did get a lot of nominations and votes for nominations, right? But for some reason they were just missing, and we've seen that there has been a couple of categories where they've kind of fiddled with the votes, it seems like, and they are refusing to show exactly how it is done and the actual polls and the actual numbers to actually show you, hey, this is all legitimate. These are the top 10 people that we picked on this that you are now voting for. Here's the statistics. 73,000 people voted for this person to be nominated, and that would have been, the easiest thing, but they.
And by the way, don't forget, Asmongold and was it Tectone? I got this. I messed this up last time. I think it was Asmongold and I believe Tectone as well. Offered Cutie Cinderella a total between the two of them, something like $20,000 that she could donate to a charity of her choice to disclose the polling numbers for the VTuber Award polls. They were going to give her $20,000 to go to a charity of her choice if she just basically showed the proof that the numbers were what they say they were when it came to the Streamer Awards polling data. Guess what? She didn't do it. She wouldn't do it. Interesting.
Still refuse to do it, and I'm going to be very interested to see if they do it next year, right? Will they actually show us the numbers and the statistics behind the voting? Because if the voting is normal, if the voting isn't controlled and isn't changed necessarily, in terms of the nominations, I'm talking about the nominations specifically, then they should have no problem with showing us, right? They should have no problem with showing us the numbers, because those numbers should reflect who is being nominated. But they haven't really shown us, even though like people like Asmongold and stuff have literally called it out. It would have been the easiest slam dunk for people like Cutie Cinderella, who obviously run the show, to be like, yo, here's the statistics, you're wrong, dumbass, give me that money, because he even bet money on it to a charity, and they still didn't want to do it, which I thought was pretty interesting, right? It's interesting because they don't want to show it. They don't want to show it. And again, as I said in my tweets ages ago, whenever this all went down, was like, hey, if you show us this, we'll give it up, right? People aren't gonna keep on complaining about it. You can literally just show us that, hey, this is all legitimate, here are the numbers, here are the analytics, and people would be happy. But they couldn't do that, which I think was kind of interesting, kind of odd, and kind of suspicious, right? And obviously there's been other stuff.
Chibi Snacks, kind of. It's how can I put this? It's kind of like it's now the botting allegations are back on him. So that there's people talking about bots or being an industry plant. And that's just I think that's kind of like dovetailed back into, I think Kazha's dovetailing that back into why people have had a problem with Peanut in the past. So using basically going up the history, like, okay, won the VTuber award, people got pissed. Then there was accusations of botting. And then there's accusations about being an industry plant. People on Twitter are bringing that back up again. So it's kind of all, he's talking about how all of this is sort of like mixed in together in this quagmire of bleh.
going on as well, including the Burnt Peanut and also Iron Mouse as well. Obviously, there was a iShowSpeed and MrBeast were putting on a 50 of the biggest streamers in a cube, and the last to leave will win 1 million. I think it's just MrBeast. I don't know whether iShowSpeed and MrBeast. I think Speed was just a contestant. And obviously included on this list was Iron Mouse and also the Burnt Peanut, who are obviously both virtual kind of tubers, right? I don't want to call them a VTuber. Right? I guess that is a VTuber, a virtual tuber, but you get what I mean, right? Obviously, you know, Iron Mouse being
how
the
the
VTuber,
hell are the two of them going to
the Burnt
participate?
Peanut being a Snapchat filter. Of course, people are confused at how they could participate. Now, looking at the streams and watching some of the people's kind of perspectives of this, it seems like they weren't involved. I think they literally just added them there for fun. I don't know. They just added them there to get clicks and maybe to get people talking about it, because obviously people in the replies saying, how is Burnt Peanut and Iron Mouse going to play? How's Iron Mouse there? Is this a fair challenge, thing as how she's virtual? And obviously this was kind of discussed a little bit before, whenever MrBeast was explaining an event that he had on involving streamers and stuff. And I came up with a couple of like theories, like maybe Connor could be holding her on an iPad or whatever, and Connor was the one that had to actually kind of compete on her behalf, right? Or even he compete for himself, right? Obviously, I thought that could be a kind of something like that, or maybe some.
The funniest part is if Iron Mouse actually did compete in this in person. Not that she would, but the funny part is because of Mousie's condition, she's already used to living in a literal bubble. So her being in a cube like this, she would be like, oh, feels like home, and she would have won. Like if Mousie for real actually came out of was able to actually leave her home and do this, you would have been like, I've lived in a bubble all my life. You are put me in this cube. It's gonna feel like fucking home. Bring it, bitches.
Could compete on her behalf, but again,
she has an immune deficiency. Basically, she can get deathly ill from anything. Yeah, she's an autoimmune deficiency disorder. Basically, effectively speaking, she pretty much kind of doesn't have an immune system. And so she is, colloquially speaking, she is the quintessential bubble girl. She can never leave her home. She gets sick extremely easily. And I didn't say autoimmune, I said immunodeficiency. If I said autoimmune, I'm sorry, I misspoke. But yeah, she is effectively speaking is a bubble girl. If she ever does get sick, even a cold could potentially kill her. So that's what is going on with Mousie. It's why she's done charity drives for the IDF, Immunodeficiency Foundation, not to be confused with the military organization. That was the whole thing of when VShojo went down, where Mousie did the charity drive for the IDF. They raised like $500,000, and VShojo stole that $500,000. And so when Mousie left VShojo, she did another charity for the IDF because VShojo stole the $500,000 and ended up raising more than double what she got while she was with VShojo.
Seems like neither of them were there, so I think that obviously I don't think they went, unless it does come up in the video. Maybe it does, but obviously it seems like it was just for clicks over on here. But it is funny though that a lot of people have been discussing Peanut, right? They've been discussing Peanut. Wait, they're saying Connor eats pants is the Burnt Peanut. That's funny. Anyways, yeah, the more people are discussing Peanut being here than Iron Mouse now, which is quite funny because if you remember back in the Streamer Awards, a lot of people were going after Iron Mouse for, you know, being on a screen, not attending, obviously due to the fact that, you know, she has medical reasons not to be there.
Yeah, I still can't believe people give Mousie shit about going via iPad. Like, she's been doing this for years, and people are still giving her shit about this. Like, really? At the Streamer Awards, they're giving her shit about this. Like, are you fucking serious right now?
She can't be there, right? And obviously that is fine. That has been, you know, everybody knows that in the VTuber space. But obviously people in the normie space, you know, we're going, oh, why is she not there? But it seems like the tables are completely turned because now they're going after the burnt peanut for pretty much exactly the same thing, which I think is quite funny. Also, they are going after Admouse a little bit, but I think they're actually going after the burnt peanut more now that this hate has kind of escalated further. So again, I did just kind of want to cover this because I thought it was pretty interesting, right? It seems like people are starting to get fed up of the burnt peanut, and it's quite funny considering how much he was going after VTubers, saying he was better, all of this kind of stuff, and now obviously it seems like all of that is coming crumbling down.
Nice,
now,
Heckle.
of course, he's still got his viewership, he's still got a lot of people watching him, but I think the public perception in terms of the clips and all of that kind of stuff, people are starting to get a little bit tired of it now, and it is pretty funny to see, you know, this kind of turnaround, I guess, since the whole streamer awards stuff. So yeah, that's essentially all I have for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code CASA, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.
Okay. That's actually kind of funny that people are starting to get tired of Peanut. I find that kind of amusing, honestly. Not gonna lie. I do find that kind of amusing. I mean, realistically, I don't care what he does. I don't care what his audience looks like. It's just, I just find it funny. I am just enjoying the Schadenfreude. That's it. I'm literally the Michael Jackson popcorn meme right now.